What's up, Fight fans? 2025 was one of the wildest years in UFC history. Champions fell, new stars took over, and by the end of the year, half of the divisions looked completely different. Today, we're recapping the entire year, just the men's division. Who started with the belts, who lost them, and who walks into 2026 as champion. And yeah, this was also the final year of the pay-per-view era before Paramount Plus takes over. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and let's jump straight into it. Before the chaos of 2025 kicked off, here's how the men's division looked when the year begun. Heavyweight was still ruled by the one and only Jon Jones, the lineal champion, even if he hadn't stepped into the cage in over a year. Light heavyweight belonged to Alex Pereira, who carried his knockout aura and dominant run at 205 into another season. Middleweight was in the hands of DDP, the newly crowned king who capped off 2024 with a statement win. Out the welterweight, we have Muhammad holding the 170-pound belt after finally breaking through the top of the division. Lightweight remained Islam's territory. The pound-for-pound monster entered 225 as one of the most dominant champions ever. Featherweight opened the year with Tapora on the throne, fresh off capturing his first UFC championship. At bantamweight, we have Merab holding the strap after grinding his way through the division with his relentless, suffocating style. And Fillet still ran through Pantoja, who entered 2025 riding the momentum of multiple successful title defenses. That was the landscape on January 1st, and by December, almost none of it was the same. Heavyweight was the biggest what-if story of 2025, and it all revolved around Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. At the start of the year, Jon Jones was still officially the heavyweight champion, but completely inactive. The UFC tried multiple times to book Jones versus Aspinall, and even put a massive $30 million offer on the table to get Jones to defend the belt against the interim champ. He turned it down every single time. What could you guys do with $30 million for one fight? With Jones refusing the matchup and the division stuck in limbo, the UFC finally made the call. The title had to move forward. That opened a door for Tom Aspinall, who had been the interim champion, to be officially crowned the undisputed heavyweight champion in mid-2025. Aspinall immediately became the face of the division, the fastest, most technical big man in the sport, and UFC wasted no time lining up his first defense. His first fight was as undisputed champion, came against Cyril Gane, and statistically, it was one of the most anticipated heavyweight fights in years. But instead of a classic, we got chaos. Just minutes until round one, Gane's fingers raked across Tom's eyes in a freak double poke. Aspinall couldn't continue, the fight was waved off, and the result went into the books as a no contest. No closure, no momentum shift, no true defense. Tom closed 2025 still holding the heavyweight title, but his status remained uncertain heading to 2026. The eye injury from Gane fight left him medically sidelined, at least that's what we're told. When will Aspinall return, and who gets the shot? That's heavyweight. Now let's move down to light heavyweight, where the belt stayed active and the chaos didn't stop. Light heavyweight went through two title changes in 2025. Alex Pereira started the year as a champion, but at UFC 313, he lost the belt to Megomed by unanimous decision. Later in the year, the UFC booked a rematch, and this time Alex defeated Megomed by the first round TKO to regain the light heavyweight title. So the belt changed hands twice, and by the end of 2025, Alex once again closed the year as a light heavyweight champion. Middleweight went through one of the biggest shifts of the entire year. DDP started 2025 as a middleweight champion, and he opened the year strong. He defended his title against Sean Strickland and won that fight unanimous decision. But later in the same year, everything changed when he faced Khamzat Chimaev. DDP lost the belt by unanimous decision, and Chimaev became the new middleweight champion. So middleweight saw one successful defense, one major title chance. By the end of 2025, Chimaev closed the year as the reigning middleweight champion. Welterweight went through a full reshuffle in 2025. Belal Muhammad opened the year as champion, but his time on top was short-lived. JMD challenged him in the spring and walked out with the belt after a clear decision win. Then came the biggest twist of the year. Islam moved up from lightweight, not after losing his title, but after voluntarily giving it up, which we'll go in a bit more detail in a moment. He stepped into a new division, still unbeaten as champion, which immediately raised the stakes. When Islam defeated JDM by unanimous decision, he captured a welterweight title and became a rare two-division champion without ever being dethroned in either weight class. So 170 ended the year with a brand new ruler, the pound-for-pound King Islam, the undisputed welterweight champion and a legitimate double champ heading into 2026. Now, lightweight had a clear story in 2025. One champion closed this chapter while another began it. Islam started the year as light heavyweight champion, and he did defend the belt once before moving on. He submitted Renato in the first round, kept his title, and then made a decision to move up to welterweight. Because of that, he vacated the lightweight belt and hasn't been beaten for it. With the new title open, Ilia Topuria stepped in for the vacant championship fight and made a huge, massive statement. He knocked out Charles Oliveira in the first round to claim the lightweight title, becoming a two-division champion in the process after already holding gold at featherweight. So lightweight ended in 2025 with a brand new king, Ilia Topuria, undefeated, a double champ, and the start of a completely new era at 155. Featherweight only had one major championship shift in 2025, and it was a big one. Ilia Topuria started the year as the featherweight champion, but he never defended a belt in 2025. His focus moved to lightweight, where he eventually fought Oliveira and won the title, just like we spoke about. Because of that move, he vacated the featherweight belt. He didn't lose it, he simply left the division to chase his second championship. Once the title was vacated, Alexander Volkanovski stepped right into the picture. Volk defended against Diego Lopez for the open belt and won by decision, reclaiming the featherweight championship he once dominated. So Topuria entered the year as champion, but after moving up and vacating, Volkanovski closed 2025 as a new and once again familiar king of featherweight division. Bantamweight had one of the busiest championship runs of the entire year. Merab started 2025 as a bantamweight champion. He didn't sit still. He made 3 successful title defenses during the year. First against Umar Nurmagomedov by unanimous decision. Then against none other than former champ Sean O'Malley by submission. And later against a veteran Corey Sandhagen again by decision. But his streak eventually came to an end. Recently at UFC 323, Merab faced none other than Peter Yan in their rematch, and this time Yan got the win. He defeated Merab by decision and took back the bantamweight title. So bantamweight saw one champion dominate most of the year, but finished it with the new ruler, Yan, closing 2025 as a champion at 135 pounds. Now, last but not least, flyweight had one of the most surprising title changes of the entire year and one of the most recent memories. It started with Potenza holding the belt when 225 began. Potenza defended the title once earlier in the year, defeating Brandon by unanimous decision to keep his spot at the top of the division. But everything changed at UFC 323. Potenza returned for another defense, this time against a young buck, Joshua Van, and the fight took a dramatic turn. Potenza suffered a serious injury during the bout and couldn't continue, forcing the ref to stop the fight. If any of you guys were watching live on stream with me, you'll notice that when Joshua went to push him down, Potenza's arm broke completely off. Because of the stoppage, Joshua Van was awarded the win and became the new flyweight champion. So Pantoja opened 225 as the champion with a successful defense, but a sudden injury shifted the entire division. By the end of the year, Joshua Van held the flyweight title and entered 2026 as a new ruler at 125. And with all that being said, here are my unofficial 2025 awards. Remember guys, these are my opinions. You can agree or disagree, but whatever you think, let me know below. Fighter of the year, we have Islam, dominated in 2 divisions, and the only champion to close the year undefeated while holding multiple belts. For breakout fighter of the year, we have Merab. No one elevated their stock more in 2025. 4 title defenses in a single year, 3 successful defenses, and one of the most relentless champions ever. Our comeback fighter of the year is none other than Peter Yan, returning B champion status after losing the belt years earlier to a weird knee and beating one of the most active champions we've ever seen. The fight of the year is for a belt we didn't talk about, was Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje for the BMF title. A knockout finish that instantly went viral, changed the belt's trajectory for the entire year. The knockout of the year is Ilia Topuria, claiming lightweight gold with the first round KO and becoming a double champ in the process. For our upset of the year, a very recent one, the flyweight title ending through injury at UFC 323, and Joshua Van walking out with the belt, the most unpredictable moment of 2023. And before we wrap it up, 2025 ended with some huge breaking news for the UFC. The company officially announced a new broadcast deal with Paramount Plus, and starting in 2025, the traditional pay-per-view model is completely gone, guys. No more is that $80 pay-per-view. Every numbered event and fight night will stream directly on Paramount Plus, with some of the big cards even airing on CBS. They recently announced that Tough and Dana White's Contender Series will be on Paramount Plus too. We'll dive deeper into what that means for fighters, matchmaking, and fans in a separate video. But this was one of the easiest and biggest business stories of the entire year. And that's the full UFC 2025 recap. Every champion, every title shift, and all the biggest moments that shaped the year. Some divisions stay steady, others flip completely upside down. And 2026 is already looking crazier with the Paramount Plus era about to begin. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let me know in the comments who your fighter of the year was. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.